So all of this complaining that women are gonna have, oh, if it was men getting pregnant, it would be so much easier. Well, yeah, y'all have a bunch of billionaire women on your side. How come you're not asking them to donate or to put money into research like that? Why are y'all looking at the men? Because at the end of the day, we understand the male experience and we try to make the male experience easier for ourselves, albeit in some places. But for women, y'all know how tough it is to be a woman, reproductively speaking. You guys know.
The royal penis is clean, Your Highness.
Welcome to the Breakdown Podcast, where I talk about love, sex, and relationships from a guy's perspective, as well as a bunch of other guy shit. The man on the mic is a man who likes his woman the same exact way he likes his yogurt. He is also a man who added running his mouth to his cardio routine. It is none other than your tall, dark, and mildly handsome man, Sir Denver B. I am here to talk about something that, if I was to describe it in like one statement, it would sound misogynistic as shit, because it's about women chatting a bunch of shit. Yeah, I know it doesn't sound all that good, but that's literally what the episode is about. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm saying this for the sake of misogyny or for the sake of comedy. It is literally that. Like, I'm not playing y'all. I am going to do an episode just about women chatting shit, but before you turn everything off and decide, you know what, this guy suddenly became a misogynist or he's finally become a misogynist, let's drop him, just let me cook. Just listen to the episode itself and you might even end up on my side for a change. Like, I know there's some women that listen and they're like, oh my goodness, this guy is just gonna talk about guy shit again. But trust me, on this particular episode, I feel like y'all might actually end up on my side. Although, for you to do that, you do need to listen to the entirety of the episode, of which, if you have listened so far, first off, thank you very much. I hope you listen all the way till the end. And should you like the episode, dislike it, should you want to give feedback, or should you want to suggest a topic, then you can hit me up via social media. The links are always in the description. But in case you don't feel like reading the description, on IG it is at the Breakdown_podcast. On Facebook it is at the Breaktime Podcast. On X it is at Bagaka the D. And on Bluesky it is at the breaktimepod.bsky.social. And the DMs are always open, and I'd also appreciate a follow on either one of those platforms, because more followers and shit. And with all that said, I probably should be getting to the main topic of this episode, but before I can do that, I want to first deal with my first instance of women chatting shit. Now, it's not like it was women per se, it was a woman, because even the main topic is going to involve a woman chatting shit. Now, this particular woman who decided to chat her shit on X practically was talking about how, if men were the ones getting pregnant, abortions wouldn't be all that bad. And it would be a lot easier for us guys. Now, the tweet itself was actually captured by a guy that was busy making jokes about it, so I am going to let that reel play, then I can give my thoughts on it and why I actually kind of agree with her. So without further ado,
if men got pregnant, abortions would be available at the barbershop. I see no lies told, and honestly, I wish I'd be first in line. Let me get that aborting taper fade, my boy. Shitting me? Cell not even gonna be able to form. I'm not that day. I'm right there. Yeah, Yep, I need to get back right. Hold on. Nope. You ain't with it? Nah, just line me up, boy. I need that abort on the way out, though. Easy enough. Manifest the feeling and act for sure, but I'm just saying. Birth rates plummeting, 100,000%. That's because men, if a woman were to ever say, don't have this kid, I'm right on the way to the barbershop right now. See, some women, not all women, when the dudes say, don't have that kid, don't have him. I don't want you to have him. I'll pay you not to have him. Then y'all go have him. Thinking child support gonna make up for it. Then be surprised. I got a deadbeat dad. No shit. He lets you know he wasn't even gonna make the beat. He wasn't even gonna be there. He lets you know off rip. Don't have him. Her, whatever it is. It's only a couple cells right now. It's still being thought of in your womb. Take them out. Y'all don't do it though. I don't know why. I get it. Sometimes religious facts, but a lot of times, y'all don't be that religious, because how are we having unprotected sex before marriage anyways? You ain't that religious, but now you want to have the kid because the money come in? Not gonna work. Give me that abort and fade, my boy, right now.
okay. Now, to reiterate, she did say if men got pregnant, abortions would be available at the barbershop. Now, to be quite honest, I agree with dude for the most part, and to be quite frank, I also think the same thing. I think it would be so easily available for men to get an abortion, and not only would it be easily available, but it might probably even end up being a very painless procedure. Look at vasectomies. Them shits apparently Like, you can get a vasectomy done as a minor surgery and it takes like, I don't know, 45 minutes to like maybe an hour and a half or some shit. And it's a relatively painless procedure and you're good to go. If you actually decided that, you know what, I don't want to have kids anymore, or I have enough kids, like, let me just snip them things and make sure I don't have any. Like, it's a relatively simple procedure that doesn't take all that long. And apparently even in some institutions it's even free, but that's sort of neither here nor there. Like, you really think about it, it's actually not all that bad for a guy to get like that permanent form of contraception, as opposed to like whenever women are busy talking about, I don't know, taking the pill or being on some sort of long form contraceptive pills, or getting the implant, or having a coil or an IUD stuck inside them or some shit. Like, you listen to the stories and you're like, you know what, being a guy isn't all that bad. But now when you bring up the whole story of like, if men were the ones getting pregnant and how easy abortions it would be, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like it's more a dig at women than it is at men. Like, maybe it's just me that looks at it that way, but it is more a dig at women than it is at men. And I actually have very solid reasons for this, of which the first one is one that I've even referenced in a previous episode not too long ago, where I was busy talking about how, like, women will always complain about how, like, they don't have any advancements in reproductive health, but how many women do you see actually like going into the science of reproductive health and like trying to better their own reproductive health? Like, I feel like most of the advancement in female reproductive health has been done by men. Like, if anything, I feel like y'all should be praising men more than y'all usually will chat your shit about men being unable to do a bunch of things here and there. Because you think about it, the pill, invented by a group of men. The tampon, invented by a man. Like, we have done more for female reproductive health than other women have. And you could complain that, the problem isn't that, there's not that many women that are doing STEM. And you're probably right. There's definitely way more men in STEM fields than women, and there's way more men that are doing research than women. So it does actually make sense that, it's most likely going to be men that are doing that research. And at that point, you could probably also bring up the argument that, we don't put enough funding into female reproductive health, and that makes a shit ton of sense. A lot of the people that are funding a lot of these bits of research here and there are usually men. And you actually have a point there, except that there's also very wealthy women who have lots of money that are not putting any funding into female reproductive health. Because you think about it, look at Bill Gates' wife, all right? They split apart and, she ended up with a good bunch of money here and there. And she's definitely doing more than well for herself right now as is, even living a luxurious life, if you want to push it there. How much money has she put into female reproductive health? Because as far as my knowledge is concerned, nothing. We have no evidence that she is putting any money into female reproductive health. Look at the Walton family, the people behind Walmart. I'm sure there should be at least one, if not two daughters there. There is no evidence or no information about them actually putting money into female reproductive health. And yet these are people that are in the tens of billions. And if I'm not wrong, the lowest net worth of the Walton family, like the lowest individual with like a low net worth, should be somewhere maybe around 40, 50, if not 60 billion. So you look at it, like these are proper net worth billionaires. So them getting a couple of hundred mil or even 10 mil to put into female reproductive research is something that they could have done, but they haven't. Then last but not least, look at Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. That woman was basically getting divorced when this man was regarded as the richest man on the planet. Now, of course, I don't think she got half, and I think she ended up with like 60 billion as far as like assets and like net worth was concerned. And, even though you could probably bring it down to even 40 or some shit, like, this woman has been donating to charitable causes here and there, but how much has she put into female reproductive research? As far as we hear in the news, barely fuck all. So you think about it, if the women are out here complaining that, if men were the ones getting pregnant, then abortions would happen at barbershops, well, the problem isn't us guys. The problem is that you guys aren't doing shit for yourselves. Y'all are just waiting for the men to come and make stuff easier for you, instead of going out to your women and saying, you know what, put some effort into making it easier for us guys to have periods, for us guys to deal with birth control on a less than hormonal level, on getting abortions done. Like, they have the kind of money that they could probably use to lobby for some of these things to happen. But guess what? These women aren't investing in any of that shit. They're not putting money into research like that. So all of this complaining that women are gonna have, if it was men getting pregnant, it would be so much easier. Well, yeah, y'all have a bunch of billionaire women on your side. How come you're not asking them to donate or to put money into research like that? Why are y'all looking at the men? Because at the end of the day, we understand the male experience and we try to make the male experience easier for ourselves, albeit in some places. But for women, y'all know how tough it is to be a woman, reproductively speaking. You guys know how tough it is, dealing with cramps, dealing with a lot of the things that make you female. Yet instead of calling out the very women that would know what it feels like to be like you guys, who are in positions of power or in positions of financial prosperity, to do something about it, y'all are just complaining to the men? Like, come on, bruh. Like, how the hell do you want us to help you? We don't know what the female experience is like. And anytime we try to contribute to that shit, y'all complain that we don't know how to do it that great. So maybe you should start calling out your own fellow millionaire and billionaire women so that you guys can make it easier on yourselves. Although, then again, I could be wrong about this, just the same way I could be wrong about a bunch of other things. So I am going to leave it at that and move it on to our main topic of this episode. Now, unlike what I just said about women not trying to call out other women, I'm about to call out a woman on this particular bit, because there's just some shit that women can sometimes tell other women that just does not benefit them in any way, shape, or form, regardless of how good the advice looks or sounds. And in this particular case, I am about to play a clip from a lady that does a lot of commentary on social media. Her name is Lydia Wanjiru. And it's not the first time that I have played some of her content on the podcast. The last time I did, I think it was her talking about how saliva isn't lubrication when it comes to sex and like the vagina and shit. And in this particular case, we're not talking about sex. It is her busy telling other women, or at least other people in general, but more so women, that they have a right to cheat as long as they're not married. Now, I am going to let the clip play, then I can give my thoughts on it. So, without further ado...
Shika masikio sikiza. If you're not married, you have the right to continue looking for a better partner. If ng'ombe zijamo hadi kwa boma ya baba yako, if mbuzi zijame hadi kwenyu, you still have the right to look for a better partner. Hello ladies, hii mambo ya mtu amekununia iPhone 11, ameenda amelia, mumesympathize na kwanza nyinyi mnaingia kwa DM yake mkisympathize. Men cheat every day, day in, day out. Oh, men are naturally polygamous. Oh, men are gaining experience. Oh, that is their nature. Welcome to 2025. Hello. Kila mtu akona the right to cheat. Kila mtu akona the right to continue looking for a better partner. You got a boyfriend yako alikununulia shamba jana na leo umeamua umepatana na a better partner than him. Hey, shika barabara, enda kwa the better partner. Because these men, they will get children. They will get other partners. Bado mkiwa na yeye. They will come crying. They will come you begging you, and they will never stop. But mwana kademu kanataka ku better their life, and now we are all here crying. Na kwanza ukijana anasema ati, oh, na I understand how kwa nini wanawake wanauliwangwa. Na bado mnamsa cheat. And it's not cheating when you're dating. It's opportunity to better yourself, to get a better partner. Hello, you have the right to do it. Do it.
Okay, so to give a little bit of context, now she was saying this after some guy had trended, I think his name was Jaswa Home or something, and apparently dude had been left by his babe, and the babe had cheated and then left the dude, and the guy was kind of losing his shit. And he's a particularly young dude, but the story kind of caught on social media, and people kind of were kind of trying to sympathize with dude. Now, considering what she said, and even removing the context where she was saying all of this, or even though you could keep the context there, objectively, she's actually not wrong. And I know it sounds like it's absolutely wrong and shit that I'm saying that, but objectively, she's actually not wrong. Like, don't get me wrong. Realistically speaking, socially speaking, what she's saying is actually pretty fucked up. And morally, she is very, very, very messed up to actually say such a thing. And if I'm not wrong, I think this woman might actually be married. So busy trying to lead other single girls astray and other single people astray is just very, very sad that she would do such a thing, because I don't think she did this to bag her man. But then again, I could be wrong about all of those things, so I'll just kind of leave that aside. But essentially, like, objectively, what she said is right to some degree. Like, yes, provided that you're not married, then technically, you're not really hitched to anyone per se. Like, legally speaking, and I guess you could also say constitutionally, and even on like a deep cultural level, like with like the tribes and like the home and everything, yes, technically you are single. And you could say that on paper, if you're using such definitions, you are single. So essentially, there is nothing that's really, really holding you back. But at the very same time, while you could say that legally, constitutionally, and like on paper, you are single, most of the agreements and the pacts and the commitments that we have aren't on paper. Like, you could talk about how, objectively she's correct and what she's saying is right, but really, how many of the commitments, how many of the bonds that you have are feasible on paper for you as a human being? Because the vast majority aren't. Like, the pact that you have with your family or with your parents, whereby, when your parents get old, you should, like, do your best to help them and like make sure you take care of them and some shit, of which, of course, there's some people that may not have that, but essentially, like, that in and of itself isn't like a pact that's written anywhere. It's not like it was a promise that was given to you at birth. And yes, I know some people don't live up to that, and that's perfectly okay, and some other people will complain about black tax, but the point is, it's not like that commitment, it's not like that loyalty, that bond that you have with your parents is on paper. Like, it is one of those ones that isn't on paper. When you look at the kind of loyalty that you have to your friends, that isn't on paper. The kind of loyalty, or at least the kind of bond that you have with your friends, whereby you would not date your friend's ex, you would not shag your friend's ex, or your sibling's ex, or your cousin's ex, or some shit like that, or even your cousin. Like, it's not like those bonds are on paper. And as such, there are people that cross those boundaries, but for the most part, people will usually avoid crossing those boundaries because they understand the bond, the commitment, and the loyalty that they have towards each other, such that they do not cross those boundaries as such. So when you're suddenly looking at someone and you're like, this is a potential partner, but I will cross that boundary whenever I want because I am single until married, like, that's just a fucked up way to think about life and to think about relationships. Because at the end of it, like, what exactly would count as like the best possible option? Because the way I look at it, like, that's just opening Pandora's box to just having very shitty options. And all of that is like, with actually particularly good logic and reason, even though objectively and on paper you are technically single. And the reason I say that is because, like, strategy wise, because a lot of people talk about, date with a strategy and shit, but even though you're not trying to think about it as like a strategy, like, just in terms of the long term, it's actually a shit way to look for a good partner. Like, don't get me wrong, if you are moving from one person to the next person and you're trying to get better, like, that's fine and dandy, you are a single person. But like, moving from person to person, whether you're in a relationship today, just drop them and you move to the next person, or you start cheating on your partner with like the next person because you believe that the next person is going to give you better, like, in the long term, that's a very, very shit strategy to use. It's actually one of the shittiest ones, because you're almost guaranteeing that you'll end up with a shit option of a person. And I know to some of y'all, more so the babes, it might not seem like that shitty of an idea because, guys do the same thing. But how many of those guys have a very well locked in person? Like, which one of those guys has a particularly good, loyal, ride or die babe that they're stuck with? That's like, a great example of a person. Or B, even stuck with one person, because most of the guys that she's referencing have multiple partners and some of them even have multiple kids. So how exactly does that make them seem like they're good options, or they're making decisions that would actually like guarantee good options? Like, it's a clear sign that that's just shit options all around. And while I know some people might think that I'm just saying this to sort of sympathize with guys because, I want a loyal babe and shit, like, I'll even state out why this as a long-term strategy, or a strategy to find a long-term partner, is shit, because I actually do have a couple of reasons. Because first and foremost, trust is gonna be fucked up. Like, you as a babe that is switching from guy to guy like that actually can't be trusted. Like, real talk. And trust is a very, very essential thing in a relationship. So let's assume that you are dating guy A and you spot guy B and you think that he's a much better option, so you start cheating on guy A with guy B. All right, now guy B is probably gonna be aware of guy A, otherwise you'd probably stick on to guy B a hell of a lot better. So when you start cheating on guy A with guy B and then you end up leaving guy A to be with guy B, first of all, I can't trust that you will be a particularly good babe and you won't suddenly start looking elsewhere. Because if you manage to cheat on guy A with me, then what's to tell me that you won't cheat on me with, for example, a guy C or another guy, just in general? Because if there's another guy that can show you some idea of better, then it's very easy that you would cheat on him, or at least that you would cheat on me with him. So I can't exactly trust that, which actually does lead on to the second issue of it all, which is like, there's just a very good chance that if you cheated on your partner with me, that you can't be trusted to actually stay loyal to me. Like, that's just an expectation, especially if you've done it before and you seem so at ease when you're doing such a thing. Then also on top of that, like, you look at some of those qualities, like, it just makes the guy prone to cheat on you too. Like, first of all, I know there's definitely good guys who have been like the affair partner to like babes that are cheating on their partners and shit, and they've ended up pretty well. Although I do feel like they're few and far between. For the most part, I believe that if a guy is willing to date you or is willing to have a thing with you while you're cheating on your partner, then that guy isn't a long-termer. Like, he's not a guy with good principles and good values. Like, it's just kinda there. Because if he's willing to be an affair partner, then what's to tell you that he values having a good long-term commitment? Like, he could say that he's gonna be different and he's gonna be better, but if he's willing to work with you to take a shit on the bond and the commitment that you have with your current partner, then what's to tell you that he's going to value the commitment that the two of you have after you've already left your partner for him? Because if he doesn't value commitment essentially at its core, then he doesn't value the commitment that you have just as like the next step. So technically he doesn't value being committed to you. So at its core, like, this guy probably won't even commit to you as well, or he might not really stay all that long. And essentially that just makes the entire thing just a shit deal at the end of it. Then also, for people that tend to move from one partner to the next and don't mind cheating on their partner because they're trying to get a better option, there's a very, very good chance that they'll just end up at a point where all the qualities that they think would make for a good partner will actually be quite wrong, and most of them will just end up seeming very superficial. Because, like, I've noticed this, and it's more so with women, and you actually see this quite a bit with women. Like, babes, whenever they start fucking around quite a bit, you will start hearing them talk about how they want big dick. And they will talk about, oh, I like a guy that's got dick game like this. I know a guy that knows how to lay pipe. Oh, I don't want a guy with a tiny dick, blah, blah, blah. But wait until they settle down or they end up with one guy that they end up being with the entire time. You ask them about going for the biggest dick, and they will talk about how, oh, big dicks are uncomfortable, first of all. Oh, most guys with big dicks don't even know how to use them all that well. Oh, most of those guys just tend to be rough, and I want someone that's not that rough with me. Like, they'll start bringing out excuses about how it's not even about the size anymore. And at the end of it, you realize that the babes that will choose to fuck around and will basically be attracted to dick, they will be looking at sex from more or less just like the physical sense. And besides the physical benefits, they're not looking at sex as anything more. But for the babes that end up settling down with one dude, it's not just the physical. It's not just sex in a physical sense. It's all the other benefits that come with sex that go beyond just the physical pleasure that comes with it. And it's not like I'm chatting shit here. Like, ask your fellow babes that, normally fuck around. Like, this is something that I've noticed with women that I've known for years and how they've changed up like that. So if babes are switching up like that when it comes to sex between multiple partners and one partner, then think about how that would also switch up when it came to relationships and switching from one partner to the next with like zero space in between and even cheating on their current partners. Like, they would have that switch up and they would get to a point where they're just looking at the superficial shit, and the ability to nail down a good long-term partner gets hindered from that end, as well as multiple others, like I had mentioned earlier. So essentially, like, whatever it is that Lydia Wanjiru was busy chatting here was absolute BS, because at the end of the day, it just ends up making it harder for women to actually nail a good long-term partner, as opposed to when they just got stuck to one dude. Which actually brings me to my conclusion in all of this. Like, don't get me wrong, there are people that end up sticking with a wrong choice of a partner for a very long time because they're in a relationship. And granted, if you are single or even in a relationship but unmarried, it is entirely up to you to create the environment and also get the best fit of a partner that you can. But at the end of it, like, if this is the strategy that you're going for, where you can cheat on your partner and you feel like you should cheat on your partner to get the best option, then honestly, it's even better if you stay single. Because in the great words of Tory Lanez in the song Who Needs Love, you can fuck 1,000 niggas, but the only thing that be hurt is your pussy hole. So instead of you hurting yourself and potentially ending up with a shit partner, it's probably better if you stick with one for a bit of time. If it doesn't seem like they're a good option, then you can find a way and drop them and then give it some time and then go back into the dating market and look for a better option. Although, then again, I could be wrong about this, just the same way I can be wrong about so many other things, so I want your thoughts on it. The DMs are open on IG, it is at the Breaktime_podcast. On Facebook, it is at the Breaktime Podcast. On X, it is at Bagaka the D. And on Bluesky, it is at the breaktimepod.bsky.social. Thank you so much for listening all the way till the end, and I will catch you guys on the next break.
But what I believe is that if you put a pastor and a prostitute in one room, one is likely to convert the other.